Hello everyone, Ryan here. So a while ago I was tagged by fellow booktuber Marc Nash to participate in the Hip Hop Books tag. Now of course this is an original tag that he created, and there's about 15 questions. Yeah, 15 questions. So I'll go ahead and get right into it here. These are actually kind of hard. I had to really think about my answers. So, so number one, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. The message. What book had a message which you just couldn't figure out? So for me, I decided to go with Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I recently read and reviewed this, I want to say, about a month and a half or so ago. I mean, overall I liked it, but for me, like, I'm still not sure exactly what the message is. If there was one, I mean, I don't know if it's supposed to be like the fact that life or existence is a constant, never-ending spiral of emotions, spiral of what's the word? Ideas, thoughts, opinions, and so on and so forth. I don't know. So yeah, number two, Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full. Which character got their just desserts in the most memorable way? So I'm actually decided to go with a recent book I recently read. That'd be The Diary of an Oxygen Thief, and it is by Anonymous, so it's the author, has chosen to be anonymous, remain anonymous. I recently read this. I also reviewed it, but I haven't uploaded my review of it yet. I'll be doing that in the next couple days. But the protagonist in it is, I believe he's unnamed for the most part. But yeah, he comes off as very misogynistic, but he definitely does get his just desserts in the end. So, yeah. Number three, the Beastie Boys, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Which was the last book you read in one sitting, or read through the night because you couldn't tear yourself away? I can't really think of this because it's been a while since I've read any book in just one sitting. It's been a long while since I've actually done that. So I decided to just go with Diary of an Oxygen Thief. Yeah, I don't know. It's just because, I mean, it's a relatively short novel, but at the same time, I was surprised that I was able to get through it so quickly. I guess because the latter half of the book was much more interesting than the first half. But even then, even the first half, still wasn't, I mean, it wasn't boring, so, yeah. Number four, Run DMC, Sucker MCs. Which main character was the biggest sucker in a novel? This is another one I had to think about for a while. I just decided to go with something that came just off the top of my head. Bella from Twilight. I did read the first Twilight book a while ago, and then of course was forced to see the movies. Well, kind of, because back when the movies came out, it seemed like everyone else in my family they were obsessed with Twilight. I was like the only one who didn't give a shit about it. So, I mean, come on, Bella, she succumbs to the charms of a 100-year-old vampire. And, yeah. I mean, magic or no magic, yeah. So, number five, Tone Loc, Wild Thing. The wildest character in a novel or the wildest novel. So I decided to go with Sal Paradise from On the Road by Jack Kerouac. And if you haven't read that I do recommend. I do believe that's one that I think everybody should read at least once, even though it's not for everyone. I mean, Jack Kerouac's writing style isn't definitely not everyone's cup of tea. But yeah, that technically, I guess you could say that almost every character in that novel could be called wild. But Sal Paradise, who is the main character, and he's also, not only is he the main character, but he's based somewhat on Jack Kerouac. And then plus in the novel, he's like always moving around, and which supposedly that's what Jack Kerouac did. There was a period in his life where he traveled across the country a lot, so, and then also, you know, drank a lot, did a lot of drugs, had sex with numerous women, possibly men too, although it's never really like, there's no details really about that, but it's kind of implied. But so yeah, I mean, that's my answer for number 5. Number 6, Public Enemy, Fight the Power. Which character faced the most overwhelming odds and put up the best fight? For me, I really couldn't think of any character. So again, I just thought Pinocchio. I mean, come on, Pinocchio from Pinocchio. You know, I mean, he faces overwhelming odds, you know. At the same time, you know, wanting to become a real boy, and then he gets swallowed by a whale. And, you know, eventually he does become a real boy, so he gets a happy ending. Number 7, Coolio, Gangster's Paradise. I remember when this song first came out, when it was the soundtrack. It was on the soundtrack for some movie that starred Michelle Pfeiffer. I forget the name of it. I remember. Well, I mean, I just remember it was a very popular song amongst my classmates. So number 7, yeah, Coolio, Gangster's Paradise. Best novel about crime or law enforcement. I decided to go with Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. So I've only like kind of read this all the way through once, so still trying to reread it. It's pretty thick, but it's also very intriguing. So yeah. Number 8, Notorious B.I.G. What's beef? What's the biggest grudge or rivalry in a novel you've read? For this, I couldn't really think of anything. I mean, other than the Jedi versus the Sith. Yes, I know it's from Star Wars, but hey, there's a lot of Star Wars graphic novels, and also actual Star Wars novels that are kind of like, they're either like continuations of different side stories, or they delve more into the details of the origins of different characters, and also the origins of the Jedi, origins of the Sith. So yeah, I figure it counts. So next one, number 9, Cypress Hill, Insanity in the Brain. Who's the maddest or barmiest character you've come across? This one, all I could think of instantly was the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. Because yeah, I don't know. It's incidentally, I remember one time I read something about that back in the day. I'm not sure exactly when. I want to say early 19th century or in the 18th century. Hatters, you know, which were the guys that would make these hats, kind of like top hats and whatnot. Because they would use real animal fur. Most of the time, I believe they use like beaver fur or beaver pelts, and so in order to get the fur to dry, they would use some kind of chemical that was technically pretty much like embalming fluid, so it was highly toxic. And so these different hatters that would make the hats they would breathe in these fumes, and, I guess when they would go out, hang out with their friends or family or whoever, they always seem to be crazy. So I don't know, that's supposedly that's where the term Mad Hatter comes from, or like when they used to say he's mad as a hatter. So I don't know, I always thought that was interesting. So number 10, De La Soul, Me, Myself, and I. Who's the most self-involved or self-obsessed character? Off the top of my head, I went with Aza or Aza or Iza. Supposedly there's 3 ways to pronounce that character's name. Aza, Aza, Iza. That's from Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. Even though, technically she is supposed to have some kind of OCD, also severe anxiety disorder. But because there's a part in that novel where, and she pretty much throughout that whole novel, she's obsessed with poking at this wound on her finger and just constantly disinfecting it with hand sanitizer, putting on a new Band-Aid, but it was like a constant thing, so like a never-ending thing. So yeah, I don't know. That's all I could think of. Number 11, Nas, New York State of Mind, best novel set in New York or a version of New York. Again, I just gotta go with On the Road by Jack Kerouac, because there's a portion of it set in New York. So 12, Dr. Dre, next episode, what's the best series you've read? For me, it's definitely got to be Goosebumps, hands down, the Goosebumps series by R.L. Stine. Now, of course, for me, I consider the original series to be all the books that were published in the 90s. Pretty much from the early 90s to late 90s. So, yeah. That's the series that first got me interested in reading. And not only that, but got me interested in writing, too. So, big thumbs up to R.L. Stine, by the way. R.L. Stine, if you're watching this, he's not watching. Number 13, Tupac Shakur, Changes. Which character undergoes the greatest change through the course of a novel? I decided to go with Jacob from Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I recently read and reviewed the second book in the series, but also I read and reviewed the first book a while ago, about a year or so ago. But yeah, because in the first book, Jacob, he comes off as just your typical whiny teenager. And then later on, he definitely, matures a little and realizes that there are bigger things to worry about. So, number 14, Kanye West. Which, by the way, I despise Kanye West. I loathe him. Yeah. Anyways, Gold Digger. Which character was the biggest Gold Digger, male or female? I couldn't really think of any character for this. I've yet to read any kind of novel or book that has a character who's a gold digger. In any sense of the term, or I don't know, maybe I have, but I just didn't really pay that much attention to it. But I don't know, Juliet. I don't know. For all we know, she could have been after Romeo's family's fortune. Again, I don't know. I couldn't really think of any character. Last one, 15, Jay-Z, 99 Problems. Which book has the most plot holes and problems? For this one, I decided to go with a little known, or rather, I guess, little talked about book. Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce. And I actually attempted to read this a while ago. I want to say more than 7 years ago. And it's... Yeah, but technically I guess it is supposed to be riddled with quote-unquote plot holes and problems. And yeah, it's written in this very weird dream language. So yeah, if you're like me, if you attempted to read it, you know what I'm talking about. So so yeah, that'll do it. That's pretty much it. As far as tagging people, I don't know what else to tag. I guess I'll tag Todd the Librarian. I'll tag Catalyst Reads, Mikey D from Catalyst Reads, Mindy's Book Journey, Dane Reads. Dane, I don't know if Mark has already tagged you in this. If he hasn't, then I'm tagging you. If he has, then I'm tagging you again. Yeah, I don't know who else. Anybody else who wants to do this tag, you find it interesting, go ahead and do it. Mark, these questions were pretty detailed, pretty involved. But hey, I'm glad, I kind of like that because it forced me to think a little bit. So, yeah. So again, that'll do it. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. As always, till next time, don't forget, keep it real, keep on rocking, and peace.